Courier Tale. It is a tale about a courier. I kind of class Courier Tale as a sort of pixel art walking and talking adventure. I say walking and talking because that's the main things you do. You walk around and explore and you talk to the characters and you do things for them as part of being a courier, but also doing sort of side jobs on the side and that. Yeah, there's no combat in the game. It's not an RPG, even though it might look like a top-down sort of JRPG or something like that. It's very much, it's probably got more in common with a point-and-click adventure, even though it might not look like it. And yeah, it's very narrative-driven, I guess, and about meeting characters and figuring out what's going on, because you just picked up this job as a courier for the gig economy, and then it's like, okay, I've come over to this island to start working on my job, and suddenly there's cat people around. That seems weird, so maybe try and figure out what the hell's going on there. I guess that's been a challenging thing with doing a short narrative sort of game, is like there's only so much you can tell without kind of just giving everything away sort of thing. And I think one of the things that people have said in reviews is that they've liked the various surprises in the game and the sort of intrigue about it, and that's, so I guess there's only so much I can say. But yeah, you start off taking up a job as a courier because you got a bunch of bills to pay, and you kind of travel over to this island called Fell Island, and the first person you see on there is this cat person, and you kind of faint, and then from then on the rest of the game kind of takes part. And the start of the game is a bit more linear, I guess, and a bit more restricted in the demo, but the full game, which is out now, that is almost like a little miniature open world in some ways, and you can kind of go and explore any way you want and kind of do things in whatever order pretty much you want. There's a little bit of gating, but mostly it's like you can choose to do the side quest stuff, or you can, or we call them side jobs in Courier Tale. And yeah, you can talk to all the characters you want to, or only the ones you're paid to talk to. So I guess depending on what sort of experience you want, you can either kind of just speed run your way through it and knock it out pretty quickly, or you can really kind of delve into the side stuff a bit and maybe find out a bit more about what's going on this island and maybe other islands, I guess. And there is multiple endings technically, so depending on what you kind of do throughout the game, you'll maybe get a different ending. And there's also collectibles. There's collectible cards you can find. Some you might get through jobs that you do, and others you might just find from just kind of clicking on everything in a way. So yeah, that's kind of the thing about it. So I'd been trying to get into game development for many years, and done a lot of game jams, and then I did one game jam. I'm not actually a coder, so I've struggled with making games in many ways, unless it's with other people and that. And yeah, so I then did a game jam in a different sort of game engine than I was normally using in that, and it just kind of showed I could focus on the creative side of things with writing and graphics and music and that, and not have to focus so much on the technical side of it. And after I'd done that game jam, even though that game jam had nothing to do with Courier Tale, no ideas came from that original game jam, a couple of months later I came up with a concept for Courier Tale. And at first it was probably just going to be just one island where you just kind of go around doing these jobs for people and that. But then I kind of thought, I think because it was part of COVID, I guess, in some ways, like COVID had hit earlier that year in 2020. I lost a lot of work overnight pretty much from that, including a little pop culture convention that I was running. And I was kind of thinking, what the hell do I do now? And I thought, well, all these years I've been trying to get into making a game and a full game, and that if I don't do it now, I don't know when I'm going to do it. And I think a lot of people around the world done that. And that's why I think you're seeing just the amount of games being released on Steam around now is just exploding. So yeah, but at the time, like a lot of people during COVID and lockdowns and that sort of thing, I'd been playing Animal Crossing. So while the game I wouldn't say is much like Animal Crossing, it's not like got crafting or anything like that. It's not a life sim and that sort of thing. There was this sort of whole thing where there was this, you play as a human and you're surrounded by all these animal people, but in some ways that's never, I think, explained. I haven't ever looked into the Animal Crossing lore or anything like that, but I don't know if there's ever any explanation why there's animal people around and you're just the only human around sort of thing. So I just kind of thought, well, one, I was thinking of sort of Studio Ghibli animations like Spirited Away and Cat Returns. I thought, oh, why does it have to be human characters on these islands and that? And so I thought, oh, well, maybe we'll mix it up a bit and have these animal characters instead. And then I kind of thought, well, why would they be there? You know, why do they exist? Like, I know you don't have to go that deep on these things, but seeing it was a story-based game, I felt like I wanted an explanation why there was these animal people on this island when you're going off to just deliver some packages or whatever for this sort of gig economy company sort of thing. So that's kind of, I guess, where it kind of started from, and it just kind of escalated, I guess, from there sort of thing. wasn't like a fully planned out thing right from the start. I'd kind of like to approach it from a sort of more natural point of view, where I just kind of almost do it chronologically and just start like, okay, this happens because of this reason, and just go from there, sort of thing. So yeah, while there was some initial plans overall of what the scope of the game was going to be, how big it was, and that sort of thing, various things like the explanations, for example, about why the animal people are there and stuff like that. I think every person who works on a game underestimates how long it's going to take. Like, I knew that games take a long time, and I knew I would be underestimating it, but of course I still underestimated it, even though, you know, Courier Tale probably on a surface level looks quite simple in that, but there was various complications that made it actually take a lot longer than it probably should have in some ways. And I wasn't 100% working on it full time over those 4 years and that, but the actual base game was kind of playable within about 2 years. Like, I had a demo within the first year, and then the full game could be played from start to finish by the second year. It was just that once I actually had a complete game, it was just the polishing of it all kind of took a long time. And a lot of decisions you make early on can affect you later on, sort of thing. So because it was also my first game, there was probably some decisions I made early on that kind of stuffed me up a bit later on, that kind of probably extended it by an extra 6 months or something like that. So Courier Tale, it sounds a bit blunt, but it's a one and done thing. It's like going and watching a film and then saying, okay, well, that was it, and that's fine. And I think there shouldn't be a problem with that. I'm not trying to create the MCU here or anything like that, you know. It was a story that I felt like had a beginning and it had an end, and that, and you know, I could shoehorn in like some extra content for DLC or try and make a sequel in some ways, but I don't think it made sense. It wouldn't serve the story. So really my next thing is, one, I said not a sequel, but technically a week later I came up with a card game idea for based on Courier Tale called Courier Cards. So I've already done a public playtest of a physical card game on that, which doesn't have much to do with Courier Tale, but is about delivering packages and has graphics from the game. So that was quite easy to kind of get a prototype happening for quite quickly. But I am also working on my next video game, which is not related to Courier Tale, is obviously not a sequel, but it is, I guess without giving anything away too much, is kind of pixel art, is a narrative game, but both for the pixel art and the type of game it is, it's a bit different to Courier Tale. So it's kind of continuing what I was doing in Courier Tale, but presenting a different type of game. But yeah, no animal people in the next one and that. But yeah, I hope to announce the next game sometime next year, but that's basically what I'm mainly focusing on, is the next game.
What is your go-to caffeinated beverage when working on the game?
Maybe a soft drink of some sort, Pepsi or that. Otherwise, I guess if we're talking coffees, and then I guess it has to be something with soy in it, because I'm vegan. And how do you know I'm vegan? I told you. As long as it's got the soy milk in there, sort of thing, and that, or even not. I've been I think inspired by Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks, and been trying black coffee lately and not having anything in there. So that's a different flavor.